We are.
Okay, I'm going to call the August 15th, 2022 meeting of the Fairport Industrial Development Agency to order and open a public comment portion of the meeting. For anyone that would like to speak with the board. Hearing no one, seeing no one, I'll close public comment and we can move to approval of the July 18th IDA meeting minutes. I could have a motion for that.
So moved.
I'll second.
And is there any discussion or corrections regarding those minutes? Rob was not in attendance for that. The three of us were. So is there any? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
One abstention. Move on to financial report, starting with resolution 2022-08, authorizing payment of the IDA bills, which there's a couple.
I reviewed this month and I move to approve them.
I'll second the motion.
Any questions or discussion regarding any of those bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have cash balances, investment report, and financial statements. Martha, anything that you in particular would like to call out here?
On the year-to-date board performance with regard to the pilot payments, I wanted to report that we have collected from both Canal East and Packett's properties, the new owners, something in about 40,000, and we expect another 27 before the end of the year, so we'll be over budget in that category.
Anything from the board? I do have a question regarding the first income item, the rental of real property.
Mhm.
It appears that in July we only got half of our payments, roughly.
I would have to go and look. It could be, I'd
Yeah,
have
I'm
to
just
pull up the
wondering if-
general ledger.
I don't know if it just wasn't timed correctly or what. or if
I
there's a-
suspect it was because on a year-to-date basis, we're on board. So I think it might have been an issue with the budget number, just not being in the right month. See, year-to-date, we've collected 84.3, and the year-to-date is 84.1.
Mm-hmm.
But I will look at that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on
Just like a true up from the previous month, essentially.
Well,
Not
I
sure.
mean, I'm not thinking that's correct
Okay.
because we have 2 months remaining in the year, the budget, and we have about another 16,000 to go to get to budget. And our budget is 8,400 per month, but in July we only brought in 45. So I'm not sure.
Looking at the,
Unless we were over last month, the previous month.
I'm pulled up the general ledger, so I'm just trying to find that right now.
That's what I was thinking with the true up comment. Because you look 2 columns over to the right. Those are right where they should be.
Yes. So it could have been a June payment or was recorded, or a July payment that was recorded in June.
I don't see any, I'm looking at the general ledger, and right now I don't see anything amiss, but it's something I can report back to the board, because we received the Corning payment and the Packett's Landing payment. So it doesn't, I will review that for the board.
All right. What else do we have in the?
Oh, I believe now that I've said it out loud, I believe it's the new owner at the former Canal East or Packett's, the Welker property transacted. The new owners caught up with the rent probably this month. There's a monthly rental.
Yeah.
And the transaction finally closed end of June.
Mhm.
And there's been a little bit of confusion in the transfer, but I can,
Okay.
I think I recall they send us a check for 2 months. So, okay, but I will confirm that. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have anything else on financials for IDA? Okay. How about any old business?
I did not have any.
Anyone from the board have any old business IDA related that they'd like to question or bring up? Okay, go on to new business. First item is the management service agreement amendment. And that is the one between IDA and Urban Renewal.
Correct. If you recall, in 2016, we executed a management agreement between the URA and the IDA. It's time to now renew that agreement. This, as proposed, we're looking at an initial 5-year term with 2 additional 5-year options after that. We also are, the council and I are working on incorporating language because, as you know, the IDA is undertaking a website project, and the URA would like us to host their pages on that IDA website. So we want to incorporate that formally into this management services agreement, and we're proposing that the URA pay the IDA a fee for that on an annual basis for that hosting.
That would be that potential link to the portal that Jeff was talking about.
And it's all of the URA pages for the landing page, the front porch grant pages, the senior grant pages, those, the board, especially the mandated reporting documentation that we have to post. So all of those pages that currently reside on the OSED website now. So the final language
And we
on
would
that
do
would
something
be,
similar with LDC,
yes, yes.
but that, we have.
We do not currently, you'll see later on that
agreement is
the,
not in place.
correct, which is what that next line item is. We don't have that drafted because currently the IDA and the LDC are only in contract for the lift, bridge, and pandemic expenses.
Specific tasks, yeah.
Those are ending. And so we're going to develop a one-pager, basically, similar to what the IDA is doing for the URA, saying we'll host your web pages for an annual fee of $500. So we didn't get a chance to draft that document, but I think it's important when the IDA is expending funds that it be documented about what we're doing, and you can see some consideration flowing back to the IDA for doing that hosting. So.
And so let's talk about the fee. Is that where is that, or what's the rationale behind the $500
I
fee?
put it in there so we could talk about it.
Okay.
Once the website is up and running, I anticipate there may be some, as you'll see later in the RFP, we talk about, we're looking for 1 year of support from from the provider with regard to the website, but there may be fees after that for ongoing support. But currently, we do not have any recurring fees for our website except for the hosting agreement where it resides. And I'd have to look it up, but it's nominal. It's not onerous at all. So I picked 500 so we could have a discussion. The cost, number of pages doesn't really matter, is my understanding, certainly as the development cost, but.
So I guess the question, or what I'm looking at is, I don't completely understand how all this stuff works, but IDA is paying to construct this website. And so what we're talking about now for the service agreement would be for fees only. Should there be something such as rent for that renting part of we paid to build the site, put it in construction terms. So now we're going to let someone occupy
Mhm.
part of that site. Should there be money charged for something, call it a rent,
Yes.
other than just the maintenance fees? I'm just throwing that out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't know the answer, or
I
just throwing that for discussion.
think so. I mean, I think they would, the company would, well, sorry, not to help you, Leslie. I mean, I assume the company would perhaps have a per page fee, right? Like, so you're talking about different pages.
Right
Like,
now, this was only meant to incorporate not the development of the
Right,
website, but once they're there,
Yeah.
allowing them to remain and,
Yeah.
update their own pages, but just kind of hosting their pages on the IDA website.
But
We
they
don't know what that cost is gonna be yet, but we should anticipate that that absolutely will be a charge associated with it, that's for sure.
Well, that's all part of the RFP that's being issued later.
So we'll see that, we'll know more soon when we get responses to the RFP in regards to what
Right.
the continued service charges might be.
Because I'm guessing if the IDA were to build just an IDA website, the cost would be less than to build a website for IDA, URA, and OPC.
That's likely true, yes.
Right, so I was thinking that if we could think of like the number of click-through pages that you'd have for each organization as a percentage of the whole. So if URA has Front Porch, senior grants, what else could we have under that? And that ends up being the majority. Let's say that ends up being 50% of a fee that's $1,000 per year to maintain, then they should pay $500. But I agree with Rob, I mean, we won't know any of that until we go down the road of constructing it.
But it makes sense to split the cost and share the cost.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it needs, in my mind, I'm not thinking equitable, and I know.
The per page and per click through thing kind of sounds ideal in a perfect world until you have to figure out, oh, we're gonna add new programs. So this one has to increase by $67 this month because, and it goes back down when the program ends. I mean, it just seems,
But it is an IDA project,
yes,
and that project
benefits.
is a community benefit project. So if there is a fee involved, I think that it should maybe recognize that there is a usage fee as well as the actual cost fee. And still nominal, still not a big number because it is an IDA community project. But it's just something for us to think about as we get in with when the numbers come in. Then, we can kind of have a little further discussion on this.
There's probably, we're trying to incorporate it in an existing document that we're already doing that's going to live on so that we don't have to look at it every year. So there's likely language that we could include that was mutually agreeable rather than set the actual dollar amount in the agreement or.
Yeah, you could have it set every year by the board.
Okay,
Every year.
with that language?
Yeah, something like that, we can do it. Again, I'm not looking for a three-way split or anything like that, because I don't think that's what the purpose of having a website for the village of Fairport is.
Great. So to that end, just a couple things. Remember, we're renewing the management agreement and establishing that linkage between the URA and IDA. So I'd look for a motion
To approve the URA IDA agreement.
for the executive director to execute the agreement.
The amendment.
The amendment.
The amendment.
The amendment to the IDA URA agreement.
When suitable language between council and the director
Correct.
along that line.
I'll second that.
Oh, I'm sorry, who moved?
I've done that.
I thought you could. I thought you were.
Okay, I'll move.
Oh, I thought you had done it, so that's why I seconded it. Never mind.
So Leslie and Don.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you.
Any more discussion regarding that item? All in favor?
Aye.
Similarly, we're looking, we have not yet developed, but I'd look to ask the board for permission to negotiate and execute agreements. And actually, this would require two people. You know, we'll have the chair
Mhm.
sign on behalf of the IDA and myself as the
Correct.
executive director. So a similar agreement that incorporates just the web hosting between the IDA and the LDC.
Do we want to do that pre-agreement? Do we need to do a pre-agreement? I mean, without having an agreement?
Yes, you can authorize.
I mean, I understand it'd be similar, but
Yep,
for
you go.
practice would be.
I mean, if this was a true third party, I'd probably say a little less would have the agreement in front of the board.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's related parties that you just authorize the executive director and chairman to enter into an agreement acceptable to council related to the hosting of the website.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And the reason I say that, Kevin, is because you're moving pot of money from one organization to the other, essentially, but it's not a external expenditure, it's more internal.
Gotcha. Okay, on to the good stuff.
Yes, yes, yes.
We're talking about an RFP for the website and branding. So Martha, Leslie, whatever, take it away.
This grew out of our planning meeting. We had at that back in April, was it? We had identified the need to redesign or develop our website, long in the making. We also had discussion at that time about an opportunity, concurrently looking at our brand and, beyond, that it, ensure that it's well known throughout the village, that it's intuitive, that it reaches the right audiences and all of those things. So as you recall, we do have budget for that. We've had budget for a couple of years now, but we're getting there, and I think it's the right time because we've done our economic development plan and our study and plan. I'm thrilled that we're doing this now. I've put together this RFP. With board member White's help, she's reviewed it for me as well. I believe I've covered all of the area. You can spend hours on these things, and I did. But I think I've covered every area that we're looking for. I followed, for example, the Village of Fairport's website RFP as well. I do have a question about the paragraph on page 20, that first paragraph under evaluation criteria. We don't specifically outline the dollar amount we've allocated for this project, but I encourage applicants to review our reports online and assure them that ample but not unlimited was a phrase that we used when we did an RFP for the economic development plan, I believe. Someone said, "What's your budget?" And we said we ample but not unlimited, and they felt comfortable moving forward. If people are familiar with our financials, they'll be able to understand that rather than set a dollar limit. Because I also asked them, there are things that I identified as optional. There's going to be your basic website and then other things, some other add-ons. We talked with Jen about what her needs are with regard to the Section 8 housing program. And fortunately, we are not building our own portal. It's just a link to their portal. But we also, Ms. White asked us to include, the need for security on the website, in particular, if we're going to be having online forms and applications. So that was added in. One of the things that my personal thing is I asked for a robust search function because it's very frustrating to work through a lot of websites with more than frustrating. So that's going to be very important for me because that's really our face to the community. So it's very important that people can get the information they need rather than be dense about it. So we have, and you'll see the copywriting that was quoted as optional because what I envisioned for this is a branding agency and a web agency aren't necessarily the same. They could be, but if there's somebody that partners like we did on the Lift Bridge project, that worked fine. So I kind of separated that out and asked them to quote that as optional and separate. We have a timeline of, let's see here. If the board is happy with the RFP, we'd like to release it tomorrow. It's probably going to go to at least 30 or 40 that Lily's put together a list of, we culled the RBJ list. We also looked at websites that we liked and identified who created those. Then it has a question period for those that are interested in responding, and that will provide those responses September 7th with a proposal due September 15th. It's kind of aggressive maybe, but I think it'll generate some interest.
And help me if here, do we also have in there the length of time that we would like to be, did you call it, is that the go live date or whatever?
I did not enumerate that because one of the things I found, remember, if you recall with the economic development plan, there was a really great firm that did not respond because they couldn't meet our timeline.
Well, I think the timeline's also important, and if they can't meet we should have a timeline, I believe.
I really think that's going to limit the quality of responses and quantity.
Can we make it?
If someone, if this is proposal is due September 15th,
right.
In my mind, I want somebody to start no later than November 1st, but I know how long the village one took.
And exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying, because the village one went on for way longer than anybody anticipated. There were some odd circumstances, but it didn't have to be that. And that was one of my objections to their process. So I think that, I don't know what's realistic, I'll look to Leslie and others, is this a 6-month project? Don't know. Is it 6 months that you give them 9 months? But I just am not at all comfortable. We were aggressive when we did our economic development plan, and we had people that were willing to make it. I don't know that you want somebody that, well, yeah, I'd really like to do it for you, but I'm not going to get to it for quite a while. And
certainly.
Well, it's
yes.
So I think that maybe not super aggressive, but I don't know. Any idea what these things take?
My thought is, go ahead, Donna.
I had staff members we just completed one, and it took them 3 months of two part-time time of staff members that are full-time, and that took 3 months.
Working with an outside.
How broad? It's got six links on the homepage, and then each page includes trainings, resource materials, and everything there.
Provided all that sort of stuff that's already written and provided.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. That's true.
Which, so were your staff members providing the content, or were they?
They were doing the design.
The design.
Well, they had done the content prior.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And then they decided, hey, let's make a website.
Okay, so a full timer for 3 months, one full-time person for 3 months.
But it's like Leslie says, like all the content's ready to go.
That's time consuming.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What's 9 months from September 15th?
July 1.
I mean, that might be reasonable at the end of the fiscal year. No, or just say no later than.
A go live date no later than June 30.
How do we hurt ourselves if we keep it open and have that be part of our evaluation?
Right.
Because obviously,
What can we evaluate
but
if they don't provide us any sort of timeline?
Well, you
Oh, no, they
should
have to respond with a timeline.
part of the back and forth, once we get the RFP from folks, that'll be part of the evaluation criteria, is my thought. That way we win from Martha's perspective with not excluding candidates, but then we have a candid conversation about what reasonable expectations should be with each of them. And we get a better sense for.
That
this
just would have to
project,
be, as we, the criteria that's gonna be evaluated, that has to be, whether it's bolded or whatever. I just think it's important that it just doesn't turn into a project that we've seen before.
Well, the challenge is, there, delays happen on both sides of the street, if we don't provide them everything they need, of course, we did a great job with the economic development, plan, but if we stumble and don't get what they need to fast enough, that's not a fair situation.
Yeah, especially if the website development is dependent upon the branding.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, they both have to happen,
One has to happen after the other.
one after the other,
What happens before?
or the same. If they don't go, yeah.
Well, the thing too, you think about the content, part of the benefit of this process will be solidifying into one voice, right? So all the-
Right.
That, I imagine, will be at least a decent amount of back and forth between the organization and the folks doing it, because that's not a, here's what we did, right? There's gonna be a lot of back and forth.
Right.
Is this the tone? Is this the one voice,
Right.
right? So there's,
Is
it
it,
extends it.
could we say our goal is to have these projects completed no later than June 30?
Like that, and then, but still put it, that they have to provide, like Rob's saying. And if somebody says, hey, I can have that done November 1st, so that would be probably.
Okay, so if I work in language, our goal is to have both components of the project completed no later than June 30.
I like that.
I like it too.
And kind of on that, in the very opening of this, page 1,
Mm-hmm.
joint proposals by 2 or more firms that encompass both areas of the RFP are encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Are they encouraged?
Yes, I would prefer that those parties come together and make a joint presentation versus unrelated branding and
But
website.
are there firms that do both?
Oh, sure, yes.
So
That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Oh, is the word encouraged?
Yeah.
maybe it's
Oh,
welcome instead of encouraged.
Are,
Welcome
yes,
instead of encouraged, maybe.
that's, yeah, I can, yeah. Acceptable. How about acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. Good one, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll review the document, look for other areas. I can reiterate the goal.
I think you did a really great job in it. So, Leslie,
Thank
for
you.
contributions too, I think it's.
My contribution is not as expensive as it's like a 1 to 90.
Like,
Well, welcome.
I think it's really good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nice job.
Thanks.
What else? Other thoughts about that, Leslie?
No, I think this is-
Did you look at it and share with us?
Well, it was certainly comprehensive and took a 10,000 foot look at what do we want and how we want to get there, which is clear. And as I was thinking about this last week, it's entirely possible this is going to be a sharp diversion. This the look of our website and how it operates is going to be a sharper version from how the village is homespun. And what our goals are very different in terms of, we want to look active and moving forward and dynamic and all those things in a different way than our village website looks. And I hope that different goals and appearances are welcome, because it's important for what we do to project that image.
Because we have different audiences.
Absolutely.
And I think it's gonna be important, and it probably is gonna be set up that way anyway, but with us having three distinct and different organizations within that same site, that if you get a search bar, that somebody doesn't know what urban renewal from a LDC, from an EPA, but is interested in getting front porch grant, they shouldn't have to go to the urban renewal section, should get out, they should be able, should be
Search
linked
front
and directed,
porches or-
whatever.
Yeah, that's,
That's-
yes.
That's probably what they do, but I just think that's important, because people don't know what she does versus
Right.
what she does.
Yes.
Well, I think it was the Lift Bridge campaign, right, that I think that, I think, I look to that to be hopeful that, some people came in with some really good, like, looking and wanting to integrate it, but keep it different from the village,
Mhm.
in a really great way. And then we saw others that we thought were a flop.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be informative to get a professional perspective on branding. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to that.
Yes. So hopefully we have proposals to look at our September meeting. That would be the September 19th. So we have them due to us on the 15th, and then I'd be able to package them and get them out to.
How many do you expect how many places would you go out to?
Oh, we've got like 30 or more. Mostly culled from RBJ lists of IT and brand development firms. And then a few that because I spend time on other IDA websites. If I like what they're doing, I look up who's doing their website. And I expect and I hope that we'll get some options. We'll get some of the what I call plug and play, the ones that are dynamic and forward thinking and all, but they all kind of have the same layout, right? And they all operate the same way. And then there's the custom one. So I'm looking forward to seeing both types of proposals.
Another one that I wasn't pleased with the way the village went is they had a firm out of the Midwest. And I know this stuff can be done remotely, right, but I just I
Right.
like local preferences.
Mm-hmm.
One point of discussion, I guess, is the time frame that we have for the next month. I don't think this is the wrong answer as far as what you propose, Martha. I'm just curious, when you think about the month that we're in, and the holiday of Labor Day, should we extend this time frame a little bit to allow folks that do want to engage but are
For the purpose of putting a proposal together.
correct?
Gotcha.
That's what I mean. I want to make sure we don't sell ourselves short with
Yeah,
candidates.
I mean, that could be one of the bigger drawbacks, that somebody doesn't have time to do the project.
Right, they didn't have time to get
I
something
don't have
into
time
us,
to put a good proposal to you.
just to think about
Mhm.
it.
And we can, I know we like to tie it to a meeting, but for something like this, I'm sure the board would be happy to have a special meeting.
Okay, that sounds good.
I give it another like 2 weeks or something, or it is September 30th.
If it was due September 30, right? We could look,
That would be 6 weeks to put something together.
right? 9:30, right?
Seems reasonable.
And then we would look perhaps to have a meeting the first week of October. We have the Canal Conference that first week.
Correct.
So perhaps we could look at the 6th of October.
Yeah, but you're not reviewing proposals in detail when we're at the Canal Conference. There's a lot going on. So you don't have that as good working time for yourself.
Okay. We could have it do,
No, I think the due date's fine.
Oh,
but
okay.
Maybe our review at our board meeting.
not until the October meeting.
Yeah. or the second week of October instead of the third.
So have-
or something.
It's okay, okay, so,
Because I'm just worried about your time,
Thank-
if, you know, if you're involved in the canal conference.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be sitting there with a stack of proposals. Well, maybe you would be.
maybe I would be. So,
Wednesday the 12th.
well, right, I would prefer that we do it the prior week, late the prior week, because I'm hoping to be away for a good portion of October. So if perhaps Friday morning, the 7th, does that,
Friday the 7th, you said, Martha?
yes, I have Friday, October 7th. I think Friday afternoons are killer, so.
Yeah.
So maybe have a meeting on Friday, October 7th. And do you want to do an 8 a.m., 8:30,
People that
9?
work, so. So for them.
I think I can feel away if we do 8:30, that works for others.
8:30? Okay, great. So
I think like
the
an hour.
proposals would be due September 30, right? And then we'd review them at a meeting October 7th.
Is the expectation that at the end of that meeting on the 7th, that we're going to decide who we want?
I think we had an option to call them back.
Yeah,
right?
and I think, and then that would line up pretty well with our next board meeting.
Oh, and then they could appear
We
at
could,
the,
you know, we could say that we're going to award, you know,
Mhm.
honor about at our board meeting. Sure.
October 17. I think they would appear and then possibly award, yeah, because there's gonna have to be a lot of
And then as you
discussion
get
about.
questions of people that say, I like it, but I think it's gonna take more than, 8 months to do this project. Could we, what if we say September 1? I think it's okay to say, well, put it in there, it's a date, you know what our goal is, but here's the,
Right.
put it in your timeline schedule, but as part of the criteria,
Yes,
the evaluation criteria.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
Rather than turning anybody away.
Mhm. Good. Okay, so just to recap, hopefully issue it tomorrow, with questions due 10 days later. I could probably move that deadline a little bit too, now that we've got the September 30th.
Yeah, because questions,
You need to,
you're taking, the construction contracts are always written, they have a cutoff date because people should, if Joe calls you up and said, what is, this, and you give Joe an answer, you are really responsible to give that answer to everyone.
yeah,
And set out a list of questions that were submitted, not by whom, but the
Mhm.
questions that were asked and the answers that were given.
mhm,
So that's why you have a cutoff date on that.
right. So
Just to allow you time to do that.
right. So I could actually,
You could move that up.
I could move that out to August 31 with responses provided still by September 7th. And then I could probably September 15 or whatever, with the proposals due to us 9:30, September 30th. And then we'll look at a meeting on October 7th to continue to discuss only that or other
Proposal
urgent
review.
business. And possibly be able to award October 17th. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your work on that.
Thanks.
It's not just as simple as just writing up an RFP.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, anything else for the IDA? Okay. Take a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Okay, I'm sorry, who was motion approved, please?
Leslie moved. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Close the IDA.